Hello, my name is Alex Isles and welcome to Newcastle's Castle. This here is the lower hall and would have been the offices of the Sheriff of Northumberland. Now the Sheriff of Northumberland, today we'd understand him as a civil servant. He was the King's representative here in the northeast of England and would have been responsible for things like justice, collection of taxes, organising the defence of the region, coordinating with the barons and the lords of the region, and also working with town officials as well to make sure that the King's justice, the King's order and the King's wishes were put out into the region and the area was controlled and properly administered. So it's a very important position. And so down here in the lower hall, this would have been his offices. Now, the reason why he didn't do it upstairs in the Great Hall is because the Great Hall represented the King. The Great Hall would be where the King would hold court. So if you have the Sheriff of Northumberland going upstairs and doing all of his business in the Great Hall, he's kind of stepping on royal power. He shouldn't be doing that. So instead, the lower hall here is perfectly suitable for him to come to do his business, to sort out everything, to meet with local powerful individuals, local lords, barons, and town officials, rather than upstairs, which is where the King would knight knights, would receive oaths of fealty, would also be able to create new lords and give out land, all of those sort of things. Very royal and powerful decisions, whereas down here we're looking at a much more civic level of power. And so this is why the lower hall was perfect for the Sheriff of Northumberland. Now the castle today has put some wonderful different interpretations into this room, and I'll just take you around them as well. So to start off with, we have a sergeant's armour. Now a sergeant was a professional soldier ranking lower than a knight. He wasn't a nobleman. He would have been a common man, but he would have chosen the life of a professional soldier. So he would be equipped similarly to a knight, but not exactly the same. He would have his own mail armour, more commonly known as a chainmail shirt, but in the Middle Ages it would be known as mail. He has his shield. He would also have a spear, a sword or a mace or an axe, a secondary weapon. He has his helmet, and he's a professional soldier. And we know at various times additional sergeants were actually sent to Newcastle's castle to fortify this location and to ensure that it was properly defended, especially when there was war with Scotland. So if 12 sergeants are being sent to aid the militia and the local forces here in the garrison, each one of them must have been quite a considerable individual, probably helping to give training, helping to bolster the defences, and maybe also bringing their own retinue of other soldiers as well. So it would have definitely helped Newcastle's castle. Over here as well, we also have a fantastic bit of history, because this is all of the castles in England, in the Scottish borders, and around Scotland as well. So we've got a number of defensive fortifications on the Anglo-Scottish border. And it just shows you how hard this area was fought over, with all of these castles required to defend against one side or the other. So it tells a story of conflict, it tells the story of the Anglo-Scottish Wars, and eventually how Scotland became its own independent nation, but at the same time, later on, obviously, England and Scotland came together to form the British Isles as we know them today, alongside Wales and Northern Ireland. Over here we can see some of the baronies and families of the northeast of England. So these are the important landed families who would have been responsible for defending the border. They would have been granted land, and some of these are quite famous. So the white cross on the red background, that's the Neville family, and the Nevilles were incredibly powerful in County Durham. We've also got the Scrope family right next to them, and the Ogles, who were knightly families who regularly fought in the Anglo-Scottish Wars, and on occasions they would also be fighting on the Scottish side as well. We have references of various Ogles fighting for the Scots as well as for the English. And then above them we can see the names of like the family, the Knight of Darcy of Gilsland, the De Ross family, the Clifford families, the Heron families, and the Balliols. And so Balliols is actually one of the families who eventually would become kings of Scotland, John Balliol. So these are quite important families up here in the northeast of England, and their stories can be seen throughout the whole of the castle. Each of these families as well was also responsible for sending knights for the defence of Newcastle's castle too. So there would have been quite a few knights stationed here, but they wouldn't have lived inside the castle themselves. They would have probably lived on houses which are now just at the bottom of what is Westgate Road today in Newcastle. We can also see over here a wonderful range of exhibition cases which have finds from archaeology on the site. So we've got things from the English Civil War, or as it better should be known, the War of Free Kingdoms. We've got medieval pottery and medieval metalworking, and then some earlier stuff like Anglo-Saxon, Norman and Roman finds. But on top of that as well, I'm not sure how clearly you can see, but just above that there is a wonderful example of Stone Age finds as well, where there were Stone Age axes here too. Coming into this room though, this is the room belonging to the Sheriff of Northumberland, and this would have been his bedroom, a solar. So in here it's been done out like a medieval room, but he would have had his bed in the far corner. He would have probably had desks so that he could work here, and it would be a place where he could sleep and keep himself warm next to the fireplace as well. So it would have been his rooms when he wasn't doing official business. He likely also had a house either within the castle or within Newcastle where he would live with his family, but this is like when you're working late at the office, you can go through to your bedroom and fall asleep here as well. So it's his official room within the castle, just off from his main study. And he's quite fortunate as well, because if we just come down through here, he's got his own ensuite. Now originally this wall would have been here, but it was dug through during the 19th century during work done on the castle. So because of that, it's now visible today, and they added in a window as well. But this wouldn't have had the window or the wall, so it would be quite a dark room. But just looking down there, it's a nice steep drop to the bottom, and that's where the waste would have gone down when he's using the toilet, and it would have been cleaned out every so often by someone whose profession would be known as a gong farmer, a person who was responsible for emptying the toilets within the castle. So you can see he's got an ensuite room, he's got his own bedroom right here which he can rest and sleep in, and that's where he can come for downtime. And then his own offices and own hall here, where him, his retainers, his close friends can gather, but he can also do the business required to keep Northumberland working. So that's just a sort of a bit of a story of the lower hall right here in the castle, the role of the Sheriff of Northumberland, and the importance that this would have had within the northeast of England, especially in the periods with the wars with Scotland and all of the conflict going on at that time. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video and that you'll join us again for another video in the near future. But until then, stay safe and well, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.